This is a journey into sound. A journey which along the way will bring to you new color, new dimension, new values, and a new experience.
Welcome to the Spirit Sessions podcast. I'm your guide, Katie Silcox, bringing you your weekly self-love soundbite. Join us, where I'll help you find your true spiritual home, where every single aspect of you is holy ground. Holy ground.
This is a journey into sound.
This is a Spirit Session podcast with Katie Silcox. Venga chicos, empezamos.
Hi everybody, it's your girl here, Katie Silcox, coming to you with this week's Spirit Session. I'm so happy to be here with you, dear listener. How you doing out there? I hope you're not just surviving this time, but really thriving. Today we are going to have so much fun, and maybe you saw the title and giggled a little bit. Maybe you thought, what is this about? I'm not highly sensitive. Why do I need this information? And I hope that what I'm sharing today will be super useful for you. And what I've found is that so many of our listeners, so many, not all of them, of course, but so many of the people that come to Ayurveda school are self-identifying as being sensitive creatures and feeling creatures, and I'd say most of the people. And if they're not, then they're wanting to join Shakti school because they want to be more in touch with their emotions and what we call the feminine. So this is for everyone. But out of those sensitive, emotional, deeply feeling creatures, there are many of us who identify as something called highly sensitive. And, before I go on, I just want to say that those of you that are in Ayurveda school know I say this all the time. We really want to be an Ayurveda school that offers up sort of a deep field from which you can understand yourself. And one of the hitches that I really see along the way of self-transformation and awakening is to get caught in the boxes, right? Like, oh, I'm such a pitta. This is why I do this. Or, oh, I'm, such a Leo. I may or may not have been referring to myself. And that can be really useful, especially in like the beginning stages of our self-awakening. But over time, it can actually become a hindrance. And I remember Zach Bush, kind of grabbing me and holding me in his hands and saying, stop identifying with yourself as an empath. You're not an empath anymore. You're just you. And you are empathic. You have that capacity. And you also have the capacity to be an absolute fierce badass that doesn't give a shit what people think about her, as one of my friends, Vishen, like Kiani says, unfuckwithable. And I love that, right? And so I really want to just remind us, like, watch out for these boxes. But I think this box can be really helpful for those of us that are deeply sensitive and tuned and emotional, because it can, I hope with this podcast, take away some of the stigma. And so we're going to go into how you can survive travel, and particularly staying in hotels if you're sensitive or highly sensitive. But honestly, I think this is just good information for everyone, because what I'm going to suggest is going to be helpful for your nervous system, whether you are experiencing it because you're sensitive or you're not. Okay. So this podcast is for everyone. So I'm going to read this from the woman who coined the term highly sensitive people. Her name is Dr. Elaine Aron. And she says that 1 out of every 5 people are highly sensitive. The evidence is about 20% of the population, and that's a lot. So if you're listening to this, you may identify as highly sensitive. I'm going to give you guys a link in the show notes to a quiz you can take to see if you are. But even if you're not, you know someone who is. It's your child. It's your parent. It's a sibling. It's a close friend. It's one of your employees. And we all need to know about this so that we can understand why those people, if you're anything like me, like might need to go into the bathroom and like chill out during a conference, or might not be able to keep up with like this endless thinking of travel. Like we all love to travel, but highly sensitive people's central feature is they need more downtime than everyone else. So for me personally, like a super packed calendar, no matter how fun the events are, is like, ugh. I do not like that. Right. So Dr. Elaine says, well, what is highly sensitive? And it is scientifically, its name is sensory processing sensitivity or environmental sensitivity. And it's a trait present from birth. It's an innate survival strategy found in over 100 other species. And it's always the minority of the individuals. It's in males and females. And the strategy is to pay more attention. We think about the nervous system, this is going to be more towards that like hypervigilance. And it's not about being sensitive in the sense of caring. Most humans are deeply sensitive and caring, but it is the ability to process more information quicker. And this has a profound effect on your life. And it's almost like gender, right? Like the sex that we're born with is going to really play a huge role in how we perceive reality. So the thing about highly sensitive, Dr. Elaine explains, is that it's invisible. So how do we see it in ourselves or others? And she says 4 ways, all through having observed them a while. By the way, everything I'm about to say is based on scientific research, right? So what are these 4 ways? First, highly sensitive people process experience of situations more deeply. What does that look like? It means that they think deeply. They tend to often be leaders in their field because of that depth thought capacity, whether it's arts or science or technology or health. They, and I'm laughing because I'm like, oh my God, this is so me. We tend to think deeply about the meaning of things, the meaning of life. They are typically easily bored by small talk. Second, they are going to have strong emotional responses and an unusual level of empathy. So this tends, in her research, she found evidence that suggests that this may be why they think more deeply and tend to have really strong capacity for empathy. They cry easily, although men who are highly sensitive tend to hide that, which is sad, right? They deeply care about the feeling of the world, and they also, in their brains, have more active mirror neurons. And so it's almost as if though they can feel what other people are feeling. And I'm often, people will say to me, this happens all the time to me. Oh my God, like I've told you things in the first hour of meeting you that I haven't told anyone. And I know it's because of this mirror neuron thing. And it's why you guys, I hope, love the podcast. Like some of you I've never even met, I've never seen. Maybe you aren't a part of Shakti School, but you feel me because I am highly sensitive. Now, this isn't better or worse. And trust me, there's some real, challenges about being highly sensitive. Anyway, we'll get to that in a moment. Third, highly sensitive people tend to notice small changes, subtleties, differences. Okay, cool. We've got a light and a dark to that. You're able to see delicate beauty. You're able to see and feel and sense when things are off in the world. And that's why I was talking to one of my best friends, Chris, last night, and he was like, Katie has to digest the news in small amounts because of that empathy. I have to have it titrated because I can really feel. And I'm also deeply tuned to the world, right? And some of you out there listening, I know you're just like, oh my God, this is so making sense to me. And some of you know you're highly sensitive. I'm thinking that for some of you, this might be new. And I remember when I first found out about this, I just started crying because I was just like, oh my effing G. Like it feels like finally, what are you doing? No, it feels like finally someone, is like explaining to me what I am. So lastly, Dr. Elaine says that, one of the hallmarks of all these beautiful, wonderful qualities of deep thought, deep feeling, is that they tend to be overwhelmed more easily than others. They can't tolerate noise or crowds for very long, and they are going to need more downtime than others. Oh my God. Love it. Love it. Love it. Permission to have downtime. And even when I found out about highly sensitive, I was like, ugh, I don't want to be that. I want to be able to do as much as everyone else. And I saw, you can sometimes see this as a hindrance. And one of my mentors reminded me, she said, yes, but this is also what makes you, in ancient times, what makes you a priestess, an oracle, a wise woman, a sage, a healer, an intuitive, right? And so if you think about priestesses, healers, oracles, wise women, and sages and intuitives, they tended to like have their cave or their realm, right? And you couldn't just come into the priestess's realm, right? You have your special temple. And now we don't really have those social structures that honor that deep intuitive capacity of some people, and we kind of get just thrown out in the world. And I've talked about this before on the podcast. I'm going to get, and we're going to talk about hotels in a minute. And I want everyone out there, one of my dear friends, I'm thinking of you, Michael, runs a hotel, and I have dear friends that run bars. And so I'm not throwing off on you guys at all. I understand that there are a large group of people that really need, I'm thinking of the men in Virginia who need their testosteronic up leveling, and going to a brewery with 6 televisions might be really helpful for that. But for me, it's like an assault on the senses. Like, those of you out there listening, have you ever walked into a bar and I'm just like, I have to really watch my judgment. I'm just disgusted. I'm like, why do I have to be forced to watch 6 televisions? Like, everywhere I turn my head, I'm like taking a bite of food and I have like some massive football player's butt in my face. Like, I don't like that, and that's just a highly sensitive people thing. And maybe you're not highly sensitive and you don't like that, right? But I just want to honor those of you out there that love it. Like, I get it. But that 80% of the world who crave and want that stimulation, please know that there are 20% of the population that actually find it highly disturbing. And God made us that way. God made us different. All right, we have to come back to that central premise of Tantra, that the divine made infinite amounts of individuals unique and special because the divine herself wanted to experience infinite experiences, right? And I have to bow and honor the part of God that wants to, go to Buffalo Wild Wings and eat cheese sticks and watch 7 televisions all at once. Like, that is God experiencing herself. But it's not what I am wanting in this lifetime. So extrapolating that, and by the way, I'm going to give you guys the link to Dr. Elaine's quiz. I'm also going to give you the link to an amazing movie about this by the one and only Alanis Morissette, who is highly sensitive, who felt so strongly about this principle that she made a movie about it. And so we'll give you guys the links to that. All right. On to what we said that this show was going to be about. And that is, I recently did a trip to Arizona. It was such a great trip. I had so much fun. I went to a conference, met such incredible people. I stayed in a hotel it was a resort that was absolutely beautiful. And the people that I met there, both the people who created the conference, the attendees, as well as all the staff, were just like stellar. Okay. So we're already working with like a high level of consciousness here. And yet my experience of being in a hotel room was like, oh my God, this is challenging. And so I'm putting this podcast out there for highly sensitive or those that, and non-highly sensitive, because all the advice I'm giving now, some of you are like, well, wait, I love watching 6 TVs and eating Buffalo Wild Wings and I can sleep like a rock. You still need this information, A, because you know somebody and you can be of service to them. And then they will very much love and appreciate you and want to be of service to you. But B, even if you sleep like a rock, even if you are a big kapha man who can do whatever and, do an endless to-do list and events list, you still need this, because whether you know it or not, life is affecting you. And the tips and tricks that I've cultivated over years and years and years of being highly sensitive and also being a traveler a lot of my life will benefit you wherever you are on the spectrum of sensory processing. Okay, so I go to this hotel. It's super beautiful. The people, again, I want to really say it, they were so lovely, but they gave me a room that was close to an event space. And so part of this story I hope can be a comic relief. So here I get there, super jet lag, get there, throw my bags down, and right outside my window, I want to rest. I want to take a little maybe yoga nidra, a nap. And right below my window, there is the most beautiful, voluptuous Marilyn Monroe-esque woman. And I can see this image in my mind. I look down from my window and there she is. I can just see this incredible cleavage and all this hair and all this flowers. And then 18 people around her, the photographer, well, I'm getting to the point, which is she was the bride. So right below my wedding is this beautiful buxom blonde bride having her sacred moment. And then in front of her is this groom all dressed in black, and I'm just standing there ugh, conflicted, because it's so good and so beautiful, and I freaking love weddings. I love them, right? But then the HSP, the highly sensitive person part of me was like, fuck this shit. I am in the middle of a wedding event and all I want to do is be quiet. Yeah, okay. There was even a guy across on another building, literally 20 feet away from my face, that was taking photos from above. I mean, it was a massive media event. So point number one, before you book your hotel, and I didn't do this, write the hotel and tell them, hey, I'm a very, a lot of times what I'll say is, hey, I'm a very sensitive sleeper. I'm really sensitive to sound. Can you put me in a very quiet room? And I would, and now I'm even more specific. It's make sure that it's kind of on a top floor if it's a building, and the furthest away from any events you might be having, or any, elevators, any ice machines, that kind of thing. And a part of this learning process is I'm such a lover of humanity and a people pleaser by default. And I love all beings, right? And I don't want to upset all beings, but that's only a part of me. And the new part is learning that I get to actually lovingly be a diva and to own it. And I just say, look, I'm a little bit of a diva, but I'm going to tip you really good. And I really appreciate you all. And then they're like, oh my God, who's this diva? We love her, right? So in other words, don't be afraid, especially if you're highly sensitive, to ask for what you need. And I still am really learning that, because I give a lot to the world, as you guys know. I mean, we're freaking worth it. That's the thing. Okay, so that was my little hotel story, but we're going to keep using that as an example, because during that trip, I actually wrote down the notes for this podcast, the hotel for the highly sensitive person. And maybe there's a hotel owner or manager out there listening, and they're like, oh, wow, we didn't even know about this highly sensitive thing. And guys, you guys need to listen to the bunny on this one. If you created a 1 or 2 rooms in your hotel that were specific for highly sensitive, or even a highly sensitive person kit for the room, you would get so much more business, and I would freaking promote your hotel. So Whoever's out there listening that's a hotel owner, hit me up. Okay. So let's keep going. So plan ahead, request a quiet room, and even ask, like, is there a wedding happening? Is there a big event? And that might change where you want to stay. Is there any construction going on? And this goes for Airbnbs as well. When I go into an Airbnb, for me, tends to usually be better for my system than a hotel. But sometimes, it's not, and you want to stay in a hotel. With Airbnb, I always write and ask, what's the noise level? I like a quiet sleeping space, blah, 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 blah. And just ask up front. Okay, sleep masks, really important. I love one called the Nitehood. And plus, when you put it on, you just start cracking up, especially if someone's near you, because you look like a little falcon with your like night hood on. This is the best eye mask. It's the best eye mask I've ever used. And that's going to get you that perfect blackout, but it's very breathable and light. So you don't have that heavy weight or that strap around your head. So I always ask, again, I try to do this up front, but usually they don't do it. And so you have to remind them when you get to the hotel, or you can ask the Airbnb, I need some extra duvets or blankets. Okay, let me give a little gripe. All right, guys, this is just bonkers. I have seen a disturbing trend in hotels over the past 10 years, and that is the duvets are getting lighter and lighter and lighter. And I think that it's because hotels think, oh, they can just change the thermostat. And they're basing these hotels on the 80% that are probably kapha, pitta kapha, and pitta, right? And then the poor little vatas are just like, WTF. I go to these hotels, not that I'm a vata, right? But I go to these hotels and the blankets feel like it's very, very light. So people are not looking only for warmth when they are sleeping. Really, they're not looking for warmth at all. They're looking for the sense of weight. That's why we want to be cool when we sleep, but we also want to feel that weight. And it harkens back to the physiology of being skin to skin with a mother, skin to skin with a lover, skin to skin with a grandparent, when we used to be more tribal and sleep with one another. So I always ask for a couple of extra blankets or a duvet. And, they're willing always to oblige that. The other thing I put in my suitcase, and this is so good, you guys, you're going to love this one, a little bit of duct tape. You don't have to bring the whole roll. Now, those of you that meet me and you see my huge suitcase, you'll know what's in there. What the heck are we doing with this duct tape? You can take a little piece of it and you can just put it over all of the freaking lights that are in the hotel room. WTF, hotel world. You guys, at this beautiful resort I was in, there was a refrigerator in the room, which, thank you very much. That's a very nice amenity and I appreciate it. But the refrigerator had blue lights on the inside. And that was right beside the bed. So there was this like blue light, not like coming off of the power strip. No, they were like a blue strip of LED lights on each shelf of the refrigerator lighting up the drinks. I'm like, oh my God, there's like a massive blue light while you're trying to sleep. That's not a great, that's like unusually bad. But what typically happens in hotel rooms is you have the light of the TV, the light of the thermostat, the light of the fire, what do you call it? The smoke detector, the light of some weird alarm clock, the light of the, thing where you can plug in your iPod, and on and on and on. And you have all of these mini lights, and those are all affecting your nervous system, whether you're highly sensitive or not. So just putting a little piece of duct tape over those things, really great. Sometimes I'll take like, a pair of shorts or a scarf and I put it over the thermostat, and you can use the duct tape to like put it on there. Instantly, then you don't have to worry about any of this. You don't have to become OCD and weird. It's just, that makes it so much easier. You can also run the fan for white noise. Another thing I really love to do is I'll do a Whole Foods delivery to a hotel, especially if they have a little mini fridge. That way I can have like some nice healthy snacks, and I don't have to eat the like candy bars and, vodka that are offered as great, treats after jet lag. No, that is not a healthy treat. Hotels, I love you, but you got to stop that. Um, okay, what else? I ask for a non-attached room. You definitely want to ask for that. I don't want to be right beside someone else. So, there's only so much you can do in a hotel. That's why usually Airbnb is the best for highly sensitive. Okay, what are some other things that we can do? On the airplane before you get there, right? Here are some of the things that are always in my airplane bags. I'm going to have some blue blocking glasses or even sunglasses. I've got a sweatshirt I'll wear. You can kind of just put that hood over your head. Noise canceling headphones are great. I also recommend for both travel and airplane and hotels some earplugs. But there's one brand that literally is mind-blowing, and it's called Max. And once you use Max earplugs, you'll never go back to other forms. They're just mind-bogglingly better than every other kind. I usually bring some lavender essential oil. It's just great for kind of like chilling out the nervous system. And then I bring a little spray bottle for the airplane, just a really small one, usually with some aloe or rose or something unscented even in it, just water. And I spray that as I'm traveling because that hydration really helps. On that note, just staying super hydrated. Getting a TSA pre-check has been a game changer. You can go so much quicker through the lines. You don't have to open up all your bags and take off all your shoes. Really great. When I am traveling, I make sure I have some room, if possible, for buffer days. So I might get there the day before an event and make sure I have a day after if I want. I really think about preserving my energy when I have a really long flight day. And so, listening to music, doing meditations as I'm traveling is really helpful for just keeping the prana in the body when it may be wanting to kind of be stimulated. And obviously an airport is super similar to that bar example where you just have this constant stimulation of screens and news, and it's like when I think of when you get into the bowels of the airport, right? You kind of go through security and then they've got you by the balls, and you're theirs until they release you and spit you out on the other side. And that's what it can kind of feel like. You're being sort of churned in the belly of this system. And so one of the things is just to really preserve that energy and let that energy stay inside through meditation, through working with your energy, and also just enjoying and not worrying. One of the main things that I think it's been super helpful for me as a highly sensitive person is just to know I can recover and I will have downtime to recover. And that helps kind of with the overwhelm, but also just knowing your limits. Getting ready to head out to Hawaii, and I'm making a stop in Los Angeles, and I'm going to be there for a week. And I luckily have the schedule to be able to do that, but it's just allowing my body to kind of not have to deal with 5 or 6 hour time change, right? 2 or 3 hours is a lot easier. Also, when you're on the airplane, this is an interesting trick and tip I learned from a very smart friend of mine. One of the reasons we get so sort of discombobulated with airplane travel, one of the many reasons, is that there's nothing that's grounded. Everything's sort of vibrating. And so you're getting this sort of low level vibration going on throughout the flight, and that is really disturbing to the nervous system. So putting your foot on the footrest, that is a grounded part of the plane, will be really helpful. Yeah, and then the last thing I want to bring up, because I loved it, is I met this amazing woman at that conference named Dr. Patty Milligan, and she has a company that we're going to put a link to in the show notes, and it is an amazing jet lag remedy that focuses on saliva. And when I learned about it from her, it was kind of like, oh my God, that makes so much sense, right? And so one of the things that happens is that when you're traveling, when you go up into the air, when it could happen also in a long car ride, anytime you're going pretty fast, your salivary levels dramatically drop when that sympathetic nervous system is activated. And so Dr. Patty made this incredible jet lag formula that you can chew before the flight, during the flight, and one after the flight. And it helps keep those salivary enzymes up, signaling to the body that it doesn't need to go into a sympathetic response, that it can kind of stay in that rest and digest. So granted, so we'll put her company link in the show notes, but let me tell you my experience with it and why I wanted to include it in the episode. I'd already planned on doing this episode before I met Patty, and met her at the conference, and I was, she was like, "Oh, I got to give you this thing," because I was feeling pretty jet lag, and so she gave it to me, and I put it in my bag, and then on the way home from the West Coast, I did it, and I had zero jet lag, you guys, zero. Now, it is easier to go east when you're traveling than it is to go west. We know that, right? So it's something to do with the circadian rhythms and the melatonin's response to the movement of the sun. It's just a lot easier to go east in general. But I had no jet lag. I mean, none, which is not usual for me. And the only thing I did differently was Dr. Patty's thing, right? So I'm kind of a true believer. I can't wait to test it out again when I go west in a few days and see if it helps again. But having something like that can be really helpful. And obviously, whatever oils, essential oils, herbs, that work for you, like melatonin, magnesium, what you use to boost your immune system. You guys, that kind of stuff, of course, very helpful. But really check out this jet lag remedy stuff. And I think you're going to find if you really make it a priority to do these super quick, simple, little easy tricks, that highly sensitive person out there listening, especially for you, you'll find you'll have a much easier journey. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode about hotels for the highly sensitive. I hope some hotel people out there are listening and will create the honorary Katie Silcox HSP hotel room, and I will be happy to promote your hotel. All right, beautiful people. Have a wonderful day, and thank you guys so much for listening. Hey there, beautiful. So I just want to ask you a really important question. What are you going to do with this one sacred and precious life? Because here's what I know. I know that the listeners of our podcast are spirit seekers. And if you're anything like me, you may sometimes feel more than a little bit bummed out and astounded even by the state of the world today. It can be super disheartening to read the mainstream news and be told that there is no cause for hope and no future to delight in. And you know what? I call bullshit on that. You see, we really do live in polarized times. And so much of what we talk about here in this podcast and in Shakti School is what the brain does when it's polarized. It's the opposite of healing. It actually causes inflammation to live in that fight, flight, freeze, polarized state of us versus them. But I personally really do understand the feeling of being stuck and being anxious about the state of the world and even the state of our lives. You may feel like your life is not turning out the way you envisioned. And some of you who are listening to me today may feel like, oh, you know what? My life looks like everything is going great on the outside, but on the inside, it's a totally different story. In my experience of working with literally thousands of women all over the world, I have found that every single one of you out there wants the same thing. You want to feel more fulfilled, more joyful, more alive, more creative, more self-empowered, and more connected. And perhaps most importantly, what I've seen is that women want to feel like they belong to themselves. They want to feel like they belong to themselves and they can connect with a community and make authentic connections. But what I also see is there's a deep missing link that is keeping us from this longing. We know we want personal and collective empowerment, but we're not sure how we can get there. And I'm not talking about Pollyanna, only love and light type self-helpy spirituality stuff. I am not talking about just taking a yoga class or, saying some positive affirmations and lighting some incense and maybe doing a moontime ritual and thinking that everything's going to turn out okay. I'm talking about something a lot deeper and a lot richer. I'm talking about the best of ancient mysticism meeting modern neuroscience. I'm talking about the best of folk medicine meeting and, yes, appreciating modern Western allopathic and functional medicine. I'm talking about smart people who have massive hearts. That is what we are doing over here at Shakti School. It is the opposite of polarizing. It is unifying. And after all, from everything I've studied, that still is the meaning of the word yoga. I believe that every single human being on this planet is longing for the same thing. We all want to feel real. We want a direct line to something beautiful and infinite. We can call it God. We can call it the universe. I mean, hell, you guys can call it the great universal cosmic crystal yoni palace. You can call it what you want. And it's what we're all wanting. And you may be thinking, yeah, but not everybody wants that, Katie. What are you talking about? And I'm saying to you, yes, they do. Every time we overeat, every time we binge on alcohol, every time we do drugs, every time we watch porn, whatever, overshop, freaking get in a fight with someone on Instagram. Every time we do that, it is just a covering over a deeper longing to know that infinite love. The bottom line is that we all want the incredible confidence and empowerment that comes from knowing exactly who we are and what our personal soul DNA is and what we were made to do on this planet. And we need the tools and practices and support to be able to manifest that purpose in the world. Guys, without tools, and without that personal divine connection, I don't care how much money you have, how powerful you are in the world, how many supplements you've taken, how many G-spot multiple orgasms you've achieved, how many sauna ice baths you've dunked yourself into. Without spirit, life is going to be really difficult and a hell of a lot less fun. In my opinion, the people that are going to not only survive but deeply thrive on the planet in the next few years are the people who are not building themselves up on sinking sands, the sinking sands of our modern culture, but who are solidifying themselves into an enduring force of love and power. When you have that kind of connection to your own soul's mission and a spiritual force on your side, there's literally, I don't think there's anything you can't accomplish. When you have a connection to your realest self, your truest purpose, and that spirit that lives inside of all of us, guess what? You become a lightning rod for attracting the right people and circumstances into your life to fulfill that mission. And you become a lightning rod for being able to transmit and channel a higher purpose into the world. You become a lightning rod for creativity. Guys, that means you can supercharge your business. You can finally write that book you've been holding back on. You can better your health. You can invent a world-changing technology. You can create beautiful art, become a better lover, and become a better parent to your kids. Your confidence to speak your highest truth and stand in your conviction as your best, most loving, courageous version of yourself is really what it's about. I want a powerful tribe of lionesses prowling this planet. And it doesn't matter if you work at the drive-thru at McDonald's, which, by the way, we have women through our scholarship program that have done that. Or if you are the CEO of some company and work in a high-rise in New York City, we have those women in our course as well. But both of those women need a system. We need a method. We all need a science-backed way of altering our brain and healing our hearts. We need a course of instruction that's going to take us from point A to point B, where we go from feeling afraid and powerless to feeling courageous and supported and seen and wanted. And that's exactly why I created this school, Shakti School, and why I created Ayurveda School Level 1. This course offers you a structured system backed by thousands of years of research and a team of over 15 expert teachers and staff who are going to make you laugh and cry and will stimulate your mind and your energy body more than any other course on this planet, and I stand behind that. You will learn my own translation of feminine form, mystical Ayurvedic medicine that will tap into something your intuition already knows, and that is that you, dear listener, know how to heal yourself. And it all starts with love and compassion. In this course, yes, we go into the basics of the Ayurveda worldview, but it doesn't stop there. You will learn conscious self-sovereign sexuality, herbology, moon rituals, astrology, mantra, yoga for your doshas, goddess manifestation and empowerment, somatic trauma release, nervous system healing, Ayurveda for women's issues, fertility, postpartum, and menopause, as well as my signature approach to holistic medicine that understands that we are not just our imbalances and our diseases. We are spiritual beings here on earth to learn who the heck we are. And that's just a short list of what we are going to be doing over here in 2022 Level 1. In this course, you are going to get all the practical tools you need to up-level your life and supercharge your dreams. I guarantee that you will go from being a spiritual wolf howling alone, perhaps in the darkness, to a member of a community who can hold one another in conscious support. You will learn what exactly is blocking your light and your success, and you will release your patterns of self-sabotage. You will get the tools that you need to navigate this upcoming year so that even the challenges that we are all going to face, they are going to become the seeds of our new potential. You will go from living a life of pain that pushes you to a future vision that pulls you. Ayurveda School Level 1 is unlike any other online course, and it's not because there aren't other amazing Ayurveda schools out there, because there are. But we are different because this is feminine form Ayurveda. It is a mystical healing path that not only bows and honors the ancient rules and technologies of India Ayurveda, but also offers a universal medicine-centered approach that defies time, geography, and ethnic background. It's a system that allows women to unfold their healing from within their own intuitive heart. Here at their school, there are no gurus. There's just a safe, healing, fun, inspiring, intellectually rich, emotionally intelligent place for you to awaken the guru within. And this isn't just my lofty opinion about my own baby. We literally receive daily testimonials from our students that make me and my staff, at least me, weep with joy. Like this one, I just got this one from a current Level 1. It says, Katie, thank you for changing my entire life with your school. I've cried so many happy and healing tears, so much compassion and endless laughs with you throughout the year. And on top of that, all that wisdom. I must say, when I signed up for Shakti School, it was very intuitive as I made a last minute decision with no experience of Ayurveda before. But I knew in my heart it would be magic. And I actually had no idea how much depth and realness these teachings would give me. And I'm realizing this is mainly because you've been our teacher and guide delivering this medicine in a very unique way. I hope to meet you in person and give you a hug and thank you, as you are such an important person in my own healing and soul's mission. Lots of love from a very grateful student. And I hope I meet you too in person and you know who you are. And that's just one of hundreds of students that have sent us their praise. But here's the thing, guys, and this is important. We only run this course once a year. It's a year-long program because we are committed to doing it live. We've done it now for 4 years, and we could easily make it a recorded course that would run all the time, be a lot less money, a lot less effort, but I feel like that would take away from the incredible energy that comes from all of us being together in a container throughout the year. And whether you're with us during the live class or you're watching it later as you're making dinner for your kids or taking a walk through the woods, there is a real container that we create in 2022. All right, guys, so it starts this January 12th, and we would absolutely love to have you. And yes, this is absolutely a course for people who want to add a money-making potential to their lives as a certified Ayurveda health coach. But it's also for any woman who just wants to take this for herself. We've had many students go on to become Ayurveda wellness coaches. They are incredible. They are inspiring me. They have, helped hundreds and thousands of people, but they've started podcasts. I've been lucky enough to write the foreword to several of my students' books. I love watching my students succeed and hopefully one day even go above and beyond what we're creating here. So it's here for you guys. We are here for you. And I hope we will see your shining face. I hope I get to meet you in school in 2022. And lastly, I have 4 amazing women supporting these efforts. We've got Sarah, Malia, Takesha, and Lindsay, and they have all taken this full course. So if you want to set up a coaching call with them to talk about the course and see if it's a good fit for you, the link to connect with them is in the show notes. You can also head over to theshaktischool.com, hit the Ayurveda link for all the information and an overview, a complete overview of the syllabus for 2022. You can also write my staff anytime. We're at info@theshaktischool.com. All right, beauty, thank you so much for listening, and may 2022 be a remarkable year for all of us.
फूटे फूल अपन सूखे फूटे फूल